Hey y'all, I'm Shayna and I'm back with another review for Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 15, Are You My Person? And we're definitely going to get into it. We're getting closer and closer and closer to decision day. But it feels like it's been at least a year. Like, can we go ahead and just wrap it up? End it. I don't care anymore. I don't care. Let's just get to, I don't even care about decision day. I just want to get to the reunions, quite frankly and honestly. But before we go ahead and jump into it, y'all know I do couple by couple randomly. So just stay tuned and watch all the way to the end. Don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend about my channel. Share, like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe because I'm trying to grow my channel. It's been a slow process, but slow process is better than no process. So let's keep it going. And we're starting off with Miguel and Lindy. We pick up where we left off with Miguel and Lindy as they're talking to their teams. Last week, we know they had a dodgeball game, and they ended off the episode where they were talking to their respective teams and venting about their marriage. Miguel is telling his team that, you know, he just had a nasty attitude on the getaway. Like, on the trip, the weekend trip, his attitude was just terrible. And it was. It really was. Lindy is venting to her team and letting them know, like, you know, she just can't take much more. She feels like she's not good enough, etc. They're all giving advice, including Alexis. Loose lip, big mouth Alexis, who we definitely don't need to be listening to because really, Nate is the only one I feel who's in a predicament to give advice. I feel like Mitch gives unbiased advice. And even if Alexis' advice is good or not, she's not in position to be telling nobody nothing. I don't feel like she need to be giving anybody anything. But moving on, this is about Lindy and Miguel. Miguel and Lindy go off to the side to, you know, have a conversation. Everyone can still hear them, so they might as well just sit it in front of everybody at this point. But they squash it and just let it go. This is the end of the trip, so they ready to just get back home at this point. So they make it home, and once again, Miguel is concerned if they're going to make it. Of course, Lindy is triggered by this, and we're just having the same redundant conversation with these two. I feel like I'm the horse that's getting jumped right now. Like, stop beating on me. Like, please, no more. So Lindy and Miguel went to the gym together. She doesn't like going to the gym. She doesn't like working out. She doesn't like working. She doesn't like cooking, apparently. She doesn't like taking care of baby dolls. And what does she like to do? It's giving Anelia over there Married at First Sight. I mean, Married to Medicine. That's what it's giving me. It seems like she don't want to do anything. She just wants to sit around and, yeah, cry when when it comes to hard conversations. Now, I was defending Lindy last week, but honey, you got to do something. So they get back home, and her insurance card came in the mail. So she is officially on his insurance. She can go to the doctors. Does that include dental and vision? I'm just wondering, like, are we skipping the dentist office or what are we doing? And has Lindy been to work in these well, we ain't get to the full 8 weeks yet. So in the last 7 weeks, has Lindy gone to work? I'm just curious. So, you know, they're talking about the name change. She said she's getting closer to feeling like she should, or, you know, it's just makes sense now. And Miguel's like, what else do you need me to do? Like, I just gave you the insurance that she cussed me out for. And she was saying she needs to feel more secure before she changes her name. Miguel says, you know, I feel a little frustrated. Like, and she was like, well, the reason why I'm, you know, not feeling secure is because of you. It's your fault. Because every time they have a disagreement, he's like, I don't know, I'm unsure, I'm not quite sure about you, I don't know if we're gonna make it. So I get what she's saying. I do get what she's saying. But he was like, she said she's happy being a LOA. Like, this is for him. This is what he wants to do. And he's like, you know what? Keep it that way then. You so happy with your last name, then keep it then. My problem is, like, he bottles things in and then later on, like, snaps out. Then it's just like, you know what? You need to say in this moment, like, no, you feel away. And then on top of that, too, I don't want it to be like, yeah, I'm only doing this as you want me to. Like, I know everyone feels differently, and she is a doctor. I don't know if she's practicing or doing anything right now, but she did earn a lot with her name, so I know it means a lot to her. I definitely get it. you know, of course, if I get married, I feel like Stasha, like I would be excited to change my name, not for Stasha's reason per se, just because I feel like as a wife, I would want to take it on, but everybody has different beliefs. But I understand as, you know, most men typically want their wives to take their last names. If you're feeling like you would do it, then don't say like, oh, I'm only doing it because you want me to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just say, hey, you know what? I worked real hard for it, and just stick to that. I worked real hard for everything I have with my name, and so it's just it's a big deal to change it. So I need to feel comfortable. You know, let's see after decision day. It's the way she's going about it, and I feel like, yeah, even though he's saying like, oh, I'm unsure, he put you on his insurance. Now he got to pay whether y'all say yes on decision day or not, at least until the next enrollment period. So yeah, I feel like he's saying like, I'm showing that I want to be in this. So I see both sides, but I wish we would just stop having the same old conversation. Later on, they have their bear costumes on, and they're just sitting there waiting for their guests to arrive, and their friends are coming over. They're going to try out Dungeons and Dragons. Lindy seems a bit confused when they start playing the game, as am I. It's given like acting or theater class in high school or something like that. Like, it's giving me something, but I don't know. I don't know what it's giving them. As they're getting deep into the game, Lindy feels like Miguel is saying things and he low-key talking about their marriage. And he might just be. So they separate to go talk to their friend, to their respective friends. She's talking to her girlfriend. He's talking to his homegirl. And Lindy's crying about, you know, the same thing. She said after this last week, like this last weekend in particular, it's just been hard. She starts, crying, but I'm going to be honest with y'all, I fast forwarded. I had to fast forward. I was tired of hearing it. I don't know what it is. It's almost like y'all dragging it on longer than need be just to try to have a storyline. But whatever. We almost to the end. It's okay. So Miguel was not okay with Lindy venting to her friend. Like, okay, Morgan, I hear you. But for me, I feel like, you know, everybody has vented to a friend or, you know, someone they trust at some point. Let's just not act like, oh no, the person you should be talking to is me. You should only be talking. When you feel like you can't talk to that person and you need to talk to somebody, 9 times out of 10, like, yeah, you should be going into business. You should be dragging him through the mud, because then the friend gonna be looking at him differently. He's gonna feel uncomfortable because he knows you was just talking trash about him to your friend. I get it, but everybody has vented before, and who knows? Maybe talking to an unbiased person will help the situation, help Lindy open her eyes a little bit and see, like, look, it's not one-sided. Lindy said the reason why she did vent to her friend was because she's afraid to vent to him, because every time she tries to say anything, he threatens to leave. So I get her on that. But when she starts breaking down and crying, like, at every turn, I can see how somebody can take it as like a form of manipulation, because what are we, like, are you just trying to make him feel guilty into staying, and that's why you breaking down in tears? What is it? I mean, and I'm a Cancer, so, you know, we known for being crybabies, but it was a little excessive even for me. Moving on, we got Alexis and Justin. They was, you know, they the ones that had the most drama this week, but, you know, all the couples gave a little something. Alexis and Justin are driving home from the trip. All the women are driving again, and I picked up on it last week that they drove down, and here they are again, driving back up. Like, I ain't taking turns or nothing. Y'all just, sheesh. I'm going to be a passenger princess, personally. Like, I don't mind every now and then, but, ooh, I want to take a break. I don't want to be Miss Independent when you sitting there. I'm just saying. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. So, Alexis calls Justin out on his lackluster performance in the bed yet again. She just can't wait to emasculate him and tear him down to the ground. And they were talking about how Nate said something about Stasha being freaky or something along them lines, and she wished she could get freaky. Girl, we seen you on that pole. You ain't giving big old freak to me. So stop it. While you talking about him, you probably match him performance-wise. It's giving Toya. Like, shh. Stop talking about y'all bedroom business. It was just uncalled for. Like, you knew the camera was there, and you just wanted to It makes Alexis look, like, it just makes her look bad when she tries to tear him down. It doesn't give what she thinks is given. Like, it makes her just seem really unlikable. So Justin got to visit Maya, and you can tell she missed him. Like, she ran up to him, and she was just so excited to see him. And he's giving her away to his best friend, Chris. And Justin got to spend a few hours with her before Chris came. He took her to the shared apartment. Alexis left with her dog and went back to her actual apartment for like the time being so he could have that time. So, you know, Chris came and they're talking and catching up. We found out later on that Chris drove like 17 hours to get Maya. So I'm thinking like, he ain't getting his dog back. Like he shouldn't have just been like, you know what, like ask him, I don't know where Maya was at. He should ask somebody that was close by, like, can you watch her until decision day? Like, I'm gonna tell Alexis I'm gonna do it, but let's see what happened on decision day. He should not have given his dog up. Alexis popped up unexpectedly and he was like, I wasn't expecting to see you. And she was like, oh, I didn't want you to go through this alone. Stop the madness. You wanted to make sure that dog was out of there. You wanted to make sure she was gone. Like, it was going to, like, give you joy to see her drive off into the sunset and not come back and you waving away. Like, stop it. Because you don't really care. You wasn't showing no compassion. He said ever since Maya's been gone, you haven't even asked him how he felt about it. I mean, I think I would have more compassion for a stranger. I did have more compassion for a stranger watching him on the show. So after that, Maya leaves and they go back inside and they're sitting on the couch and her back is like turned to him and she's leaning away. And you know, the body language is telling. Even though he did that, she don't care. And so Justin asked Alexis if she can see that he's like all in now, like, because he made such a huge sacrifice giving his dog away, something she wouldn't do, even though she said on the after show that on the after party that she has given her dog to her mom before because she wanted to be traveling and stuff. So she's given up her dog before. Meanwhile, he's given up his dog for the first time for good. And she was like, look, you know, you keep throwing it in my face, like, you just keep talking about the sacrifice you made giving up your dog, like, but I don't want you to keep throwing it in my face, like, I don't want to keep hearing it. I do get that when somebody, like, if somebody does something for you, like, don't do it for me, and then if you're going to keep throwing it in my face, like, if you're going to keep doing that, then don't do it. But I don't even think he's, like, throwing it in her face. It literally, she just drove away for good, like, my goodness, and he's acting like, look, like, are you in this? That's what he wants to know. He wants to be reassured that he made the right decision because he knows deep down he didn't. And instead of that, you flipping it and making it about you. So, Justin and Nate are working out in the next scene, and Stasha and Alexis are doing yoga. So they're separated and they're doing their own separate things with each other. Justin tells Nate that he texts Alexis and asks her if she's definitely saying yes on decision day. Probably because he was afraid to ask her in person because she shuts him down. Justin said she was deflecting and she never really answered him. And had she told the truth about how she was feeling or that she wasn't all in, that he wouldn't have given up Maya. So it's partially to blame because it's like, if she didn't, like, unless she just flat out lied, that she was never giving you like a firm answer, like, you shouldn't have gave up Maya anyway. So yeah, everybody's like, it's his fault, he shouldn't have gave up the dog. Yeah, true, but I mean, he wants to be in a marriage, so I get it. She shouldn't be leading him on. So Nate was like, you know, she's playing him, she's leading him on, she's lying. Nate can't stand her. He does not like Alexis, and he don't even try to hide it. So Alexis is trying to basically find reasons when she's talking to Stasha about you know, her decision, because we know her decision is already to say no on decision day. So she is looking for like little things to like feel secure in that answer. Justin claims that, you know, he has his mind made up now. Like, before he was looking at it like emotional or whatever, and now he's using his head instead of his heart, and he feels like, look, he's getting played. You are getting played, Justin. Yes, anybody, I mean, Stevie Wonder can see you getting played. You know, let me not say that. I'm sorry. Anybody and everybody, even the dogs, know that you're getting played. So, yes, you are getting played, but if she says yes on decision day, you're going to say yes. And I was briefly listening to Tammy Talks, her review of the show, and she was saying, like, they should do what they do on Marriage Boot Camp. I haven't watched Marriage Boot Camp in years. But, like, where at the end, everybody has, like, a flashcard, and they have their answer already written down, and they flash it, and it says, like, yes or no. And I agree. They should do that, because one too many times have I seen people saying, like, it seemed like they were going to say yes, and then they said no because the person said no, or vice versa. Even, like, when Morgan and Ben just did it, like, they let Morgan go first, and I feel like at least let the person who we unsure, like, we can tell, like, oh, yeah, you definitely going to say no, or you definitely going to say yes. Fine. But I feel like the other person that's on the fence, like, even though we knew Ben didn't really want her, like, I feel like he should have went first. Because when she went first, it was like, oh, yeah, I got rid of him. I said I don't want him. Had he did it, it would have hurt her feelings that he didn't want her. So she like at least let the unsure or the unclear person go first, if nothing else. So they go on a double date with Kristen and Mitch, and Justin is just like visibly sad. Like Mitch was like talking about how like he effortlessly plays ping pong, and he just looked bored. Like he was just like, it just comes so natural. No, his mind isn't there because he just gave up his dog for some woman and he ain't gonna be with it another week. But they don't know, you know. Sorry for all the sniffling, y'all. Like, you know what? Because now I feel like the cold's gone, but my allergies have picked up with those weather changing. So, woo, when it start getting cold outside, it's rough. It's rough over here on this side. Anyway, so he told them that his friend drove 17 hours. I already know that, to get Maya. And Alexis quickly changes the subject because she don't want to talk about that dog. She don't care, can't stand her, never liked the dog anyway. And she starts talking about decision day, even though the dog is part of the decision-making process. So Justin says, you know, because she said she was like 90% sure or whatever. Mitch was like, is 90% good enough for you? And Justin said, no, like 90% is not good enough. Like, he deserves to have somebody that's all in and 100% about him. She's trying to downplay him giving up Maya, like it's not that big of a deal. And he's like, I gave up my dog for you. She's like, oh, so you just want me to like, so you're just saying yes, or you want me to say yes because you gave up the dog, or you just want me because you love me, or whatever, however she tried to flip it. Like, girl, stop it. That's a big deal. And Justin was like, no, I'm saying, like, I needed, in that moment, I needed reassurance. Like how Kristen, you say you need reassurance, I need reassurance. So, but Kristen was like, yeah, but, you know, I'm not 100% either. Okay, well, we don't need to be talking to these two. After that, I mean, we already know that they unsure. I don't see either couple making it past decision day. Like, enjoy y'all time together, but y'all don't. Kristen and Mitch might say yes on decision day. By the reunion, I feel like by the time the next season starts, they ain't gonna be together. Period. Moving on, Kristen and Mitch. They make it back to the shared apartment, and Kristen asks Mitch if he had like any favorite parts of the weekend. And, you know, he poured it on all thick because, you know, he got in trouble when he doesn't reassure her, he gets in trouble. So he been trying lately. And he was like, oh, she's his favorite part, like just her being fun and blah, blah, blah. So he's leaving for a conference, which is probably why he was pouring it on hella thick, because he know he about to leave. So Mitch made a comment that, you know, he's going back to like his normal life. He's going from being married with her to like going back to his normal single Mitch self. And it's like, Mitch, but you ain't single though. You can't go back to being single Mitch if you ain't single. So they go, you know, they FaceTime like one time. They ain't talking about nothing. Mitch is back from his work trip. And, you know, he was saying like, I'm hungover. I was the life of the party. I got the party started. You should have seen me. You would have been so proud. Kristen don't want to hear none of that. Like, she don't want you turning up without her. She wants you doing that with her. But he's missing the point. Matter of fact, I ain't seen him do anything that Kristen actually wants to do. It seems like every time they do something Mitch want to do. So Kristen asked Mitch if he lost his ring. I guess she noticed it wasn't on his finger. And he was like, nope, here it is. Here in the car. Hidden. And he said he didn't want the entire company to know he had just got married. Like, his close friends knew. But he didn't want everybody named Mama to know. So he took it off. And that's why he hid it. But I'm like, when you requested off work for that whole week when you was going to the honeymoon and everything, like, where did you tell the company? Like, where did you tell the people you was going? Like, where did they think you were? You got to leave for filming and stuff. Like, what do they think you doing? Anyway, Kristen asked if there were any cute girls at the conference. And he starts stumbling and mumbling and fumbling. And just say yes. But she feeling away. She like, okay, because you was there without no ring. And then he's saying like, it's mostly women, barely any men. And saying anything in his power to make matters worse. Like, Mitch, do you want her to say yes on decision day or not? I can't really tell right now. So they move on, and Kristen, Mitch, and Luna go surfing. And Luna had on her wetsuit. She was on the surfboard. They were having a nice family day. Kristen got emotional seeing Mitch with Luna. That made her feel good. And so, you know, when she sees one glimmer or glimpse of hope, it doesn't matter if it's a mustard seed, that's all she needs. She will ignore all the other red flags like they don't exist. So she was happy about that. He was giving more red flags and she was ignoring them. No, it might be orange, it might not be red. Girl, So they have a double date with Alexis and Justin, and they tell Justin and Alexis about Mitch leaving for the conference. And then Kristen asks again about his ring. It's giving passive aggressive, just a little bit. Like, girl, just say you had a problem with him not wearing his ring. Say it was an issue. Because you probably done went and told everybody that you got married, and then he up here keeping it in a secret. Like, I get that he probably wants to make sure that they say yes on decision day before he tells everybody, but I mean, he just could have left it on and didn't have to explain. I'm sure nobody would have been like, hey, what's that on your finger? It's not like a woman where it's like, ooh, you know. Most people probably wouldn't have cared or paid attention. You went on a conference. You probably don't even hardly see these people half the time. I think it was just an excuse for him to go out and pretend like he's single for the week to see what he wants to do. So Kristen wants to be reassured again because Mitch has said, like he was telling Justice and Alexis, like, I haven't even been riding my bike, and like I haven't been doing anything that I want to, like I normally do or I would like to do pretty much. Well, life changes when you get married. And let's not even talk about how much it changes when you start having kids. So she's like, well, I would have wanted to hear, like, you know, that I'm an amazing woman and I'm so great and awesome and beautiful and you just love me so much. And it was like, well, where is the correlation here? Where is this even coming from? Like, what? He just says he misses doing things that he used to do. And what? I don't know. Maybe it was the editing for me personally. But Justin was like, okay, but if you don't hear it, then what? And he was like, what if he just say it? Like, okay, he could just say it and not mean it. Like, just as he said it, like, okay, you just want to hear the words, no actions behind it. Like, if he's showing you, like, isn't that more important? I need both. I need words and actions. Like, don't be like, oh, I show you, and then you never tell me. Like, I need to hear it as well. Don't just tell me and don't do anything. Like, do a little of both. You don't got to do it every day, but, you know, enough. And she was like, well, no, Mitch don't say things just to say it. He just did earlier when he was talking about his favorite part of the weekend was you. So he just did. He just did on the car ride down there when he was telling you, like, fine. After you, like, done embarrassed me in front of everybody and you snapped on Dr. Pepper, I think that you are okay. You look nice. So he did. He's done it before, at least in my opinion. But she was like, look, he don't just be saying stuff. So I would feel it. I would know it. I don't feel it right now. So that's why I need to hear it. And I know when he said she was beautiful on the way down to the trip for the weekend, that was not going to be, she's talking about, oh, like, that's fine. I don't need to hear it anymore. When he was like shooting that bow and arrow, like, oh, well, now that you said it, I'm good. No. She might not be saying right now, like, I want you to say I'm attractive, but she's saying things along those lines. I want you to say I'm great. I want you to say I'm amazing. I want you to say, she still wants to hear it. Ever since he told her he wasn't attracted to her, it's going to take more than some 8 weeks. It's going to take a long time because then he done messed with her self-esteem. It could take years for her to get over this. In the back of her mind, it started off that way. It's not like, oh, well, I've been with him and, you know, he was attracted to me and then, you know, kind of lost attraction or whatever. Like, you were not attracted to me initially. Like, that can take a while for somebody to get over. And it's still going to be in the back of your mind. It will hurt my feelings. Don't act like it wouldn't hurt y'all's. So we finally have Nate and Stasha. I'm just saying one last time, I'm just glad that we don't have any more of Morgan and Ben because they showed them, you know, when the episode starts, and it's like, just take their picture out of there. We don't even need to see that, please. So after the trip, Stasha takes Nate to her brand new home finally, so he will see where they will be living, and it's really nice, of course. It looks untouched, and it looks like a model home to me. So he loves it, but like when they were looking in the backyard, he was like, oh, like, well, there's no grass back there in the backyard. She was like, no, she didn't want it too much maintenance. Thinking like a single woman because, ooh, I can't stand when I got to get somebody to cut my grass. But he was like, look, like, he was like, that wouldn't be that much maintenance. It's a small space. And she was like, well, who's going to be maintaining that? And he was like, me, like, I'll take care of it. And she was looking at him like he had two heads. Like, she was, what? Yeah. Like, you wanted a husband, like, so he's trying to do a husband duty, like, and if y'all want children, they, you know, they can play in the backyard or whatever. But I guess she's thinking about, like, in her mind frame, she got this home by herself, so she's thinking about it in that sense. So Nate mentions kids, like, after they did a little walkthrough, and, you know, he's like, oh, well, it's like the carpet is so white, and, you know, these white pillows, like, kids will mess it up. And she's like, no, I believe, like, she really believes that she'll just train them and teach them and tell them not to go, like, don't go in there, don't touch that, and they'll just listen. And he's like, what about the terrible twos? And she's like, no, my mom told us not to, like, go in that diner room and don't go in that extra room, like, don't go in there. Yeah, when y'all were older, but when you were about 1 or 2 year old, I said, she gonna be in for a rude awakening. Boy, she gonna have a wake-up call when that baby come. Because, let me tell you, and I'm gonna say this, when I had my son, I had a lot more patience in my 20s than I do having a small child in my 30s. Like, listen, I'm not about to even keep going back and forth with, like, you just be like, you know what, they're quiet. Like, let them have a few minutes. But yeah, light furniture with a baby. Now the carpet has Stanley Steamer on speed dial. So they go to the hardware store, and there's like a power struggle with things they want. Like looking at doorknobs and little knickknacks and this and that. And it's just like, because he made a comment, and I didn't write it down, but I think because like Stasha was like, what? And I was kind of like, what too? Because he was like, okay, well, if there's like a room, basically saying like, if there's a room that because she was saying she loves the design, and this is like her baby, like this is her thing, like she likes the design anyway, and she just bought a brand new house. So she wants to be the one primarily designing that. Like, you can give me a little input and I might consider, but basically this is my house and I'm gonna do it my way. I feel like if they bought the house together, she still would feel like this is my house and I'm gonna do it my way. So, you know, they want to be a power couple, but then there's a power struggle between the two. Because he like, if you just want to, you know, do the living room, she's like, I don't know what you mean. Like, what are you talking about? Like, basically letting them know, like, this is my house. What you talking about? Because at the end of the day, he knows it, and that's why he's trying to, like, put his foot down and have some authority. But I don't know if her being a breadwinner and him moving into her house and all these things is going to, like, affect them later down the line. Like, I really like them together, and I think they could make it, but I wonder if that's going to be an issue later on. So, Nate works out with Justin. We already know Stasha was doing yoga with Alexis. So, Stasha really, like, doesn't want, like, basically, in so many words, this is how I received it. Let me know if y'all feel differently. But I feel like she doesn't want him really involved with the decorating. Like, she wants him to, like, oh, that looks nice. Or, like, ooh, like, what do you think about between this shade and this shade? Like, or this curtain or this curtain, what you think? Because he was walking in like, we got to put blinds over here. She looking like... But it's like, oh, what do you think about this one or this one? Like, out of what I picked, you can, like, give your opinion and have a little input, but you're not about to be picking nothing, pretty much. But she wants him to feel comfortable. Like, she wants him to be comfortable moving in there. I don't know. I'm not no man. I can't speak on no man's behalf. But when I've heard men talking and they move into a woman's house, it's like, it feels like it's her house. And so they usually feel away. So maybe they'll stay there for a few years. And then they might end up moving and getting a whole nother house that's like their house. Because I think in the back of his mind, he's always going to feel like it's her house. So they came in after I guess they were out and about. First they went hiking. Sorry, I almost skipped over that. They went on a little hike, and then they went to make some like homemade guacamole from scratch in the middle of the park. He had set it up for her, so they were talking about kids, and she was like, you know, I still want to, after I have kids, I have fun. Like, I want to still date. I still want to travel. And he was like, you know, not until the child is older. Like, we can go on dates here and there, but I don't want to go on, like, week-long vacations when the child is still young. So they're not in agreement with certain things. I think there's compromise. Like, I can see that they'll be able to compromise because he's not saying he doesn't want to go on date nights. And you don't want to skip out. You start skipping out on that, you look up, 6 months done pass, a year done pass, and y'all ain't been nowhere. Like, and then all of a sudden it's just like day-to-day life. Like, we're parents, and the relationship aspect is gone. And that's how people, you know, it affects couples. It really does. Having a child, like, is not for the weak. Like, it really will affect you because that consumes your life. And if you don't put time and effort into the marriage after the child comes to date and things like that, like, it can slip away from you. Not going on week-long vacations. He said he don't want to go for like week-long. Like, let's do a weekend. Like, let's do an extended weekend. Let's start there. I feel like when the baby comes, by the time the baby start getting older, like, y'all two people that don't have no children, like, not to say discredit anybody who don't have any kids, but let me tell you, what you think you're going to do when you don't have them versus what you actually start doing when you do have them, is 2 different things. So we're going to see what tune he's singing when the child comes. So later on, they, like we saw in the nanny cam, they were talking about their differences with parenting again, and they're just not agreeing with a child that just don't even exist yet. But talk it all out, get it all on the table, compromise now, because you don't want to start having these issues when the baby comes. Things will change when the baby comes. So, they're talking about that, and he's talking about his mom and the dad, and like the big age difference, saying the mom wasn't ready. She was 23 and his dad was 36, and Sasha's like, well, I'm 37. So obviously, like, yeah, she's been ready. She's ready. She was just waiting on Nate. So now Nate's there. Let's go ahead and get it started. So they start discussing like life after decision day. They did that when they were hiking. And it's like, okay, they were talking about, when they're talking about the parenting, I'm thinking like, wasn't Nate supposed to start therapy? Did Nate start therapy for his childhood trauma? We already know Stasha has been in therapy. I feel like it's good that y'all are going separately, but y'all need to go together as well, because Stasha's mentioned like she didn't have her father around, even though she had a stepfather. So it seems like a man may have been in the home at some point, but she grew up without her father, so it affects her. He grew up without his mother, and it comes up. And as much as we can try to act like he was initially, he was acting like it didn't affect him, it didn't bother him. When it comes up to these types of situations, and you're talking about raising children, it plays a part. So did y'all go to therapy or not? Y'all really need to have healthy dialogue about this. But they can communicate well. Nate can communicate very well. So I think they will definitely overcome this. And I think these two will be fine. As far as everybody else, I don't know. I think Lindy and Miguel will stay together, and she'll be whining and she'll be getting on his nerves. And the other two, I don't see it for them. But what y'all think? We getting close to decision day. Let me know who y'all think is going to make it down in the comments. How do you feel about Justin giving up his dog? Let me know all your thoughts, and be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.